What's your reason for going so fast? For real. I don't get it. I don't get it.
A deputy who hit and killed a teen was speeding. That is according to the sheriff, who is now asking people to give that deputy the benefit of the doubt. Welcome to Nightside. I'm Katie McCall.
And I'm Carolina Leid. The crash happened on Florida Avenue and 124th Avenue in Tampa a week and a half ago. The sheriff says an undercover deputy in an unmarked car swerved to avoid one kid crossing the street and hit another. I'm with Nightside's Grady Trimble. And Grady, this is the first time today that we're hearing from the sheriff.
And he answered some big questions about this crash. First, he identified the deputy. His name is Philip Montesi. The sheriff also says Montesi was going 21 miles per hour over the speed limit, 66 in a 45. He also reiterated the deputy did have a green light and the two boys were crossing the street and they weren't in a crosswalk. These answers aren't enough for the people who are calling for justice.
It hurts, and I keep having like flashbacks to it.
Damian Foster says he watched his best friend's final moments. He was crossing the road when an undercover deputy swerved to miss him and hit 15-year-old Josiah Pinner.
I feel so guilty knowing I'm with my baby every day.
Foster and his mom are among the dozens calling for justice for Pinner. Protesters marched in the streets Thursday night, and now they're hearing from Sheriff Chad Chronister for the first time.
I don't think we could apologize enough for the loss of their son's life.
Chronister only released a few details about the crash because it's still under investigation. He did admit he's concerned Deputy Philip Montesi was speeding.
Anyone who exceeds the speed limit better have a very justifiable reason of why they're doing that.
Chronister also says the deputy kept driving after the crash, then turned around and went back.
Why were you going so fast? Why did you not stop for this baby?
The sheriff revealed Deputy Montesi has been in 3 other crashes since he started in 2013, but he wasn't at fault. This time, Foster's mom tells me she thinks he should be fired.
I want justice for Josiah. That's the main thing that I want right now.
Could still be disciplined or even charged. The department, again, is still investigating the crash. It could last more than a month. The sheriff asks people to be patient and trust their investigation.
Our other top story tonight, the Supreme Court says certain transgender people can be banned from serving in our military. Nightside reporter Josh Dorowitz is here. And Josh, this ruling actually raises a lot of questions and doesn't answer many.
Right, and don't think of this as a straight up ruling either from the high court. What it is the justices in a 5-4 decision down party lines essentially saying, you know what, let's wait until this all gets sorted out in the lower courts before we then get involved. But for active and retired transgender service members, it all means one thing: uncertainty.
It's really got to be unnerving for them.
Retired Master Sergeant Nancy Jones served 20 years in the Air Force, but before her retirement in 1991, she was Daniel Jones, a decorated service member with a big secret.
You've got this little bit in the back of your mind that says, am I going to get home and be discharged, or what?
She says all of this legal wrangling has been disheartening to watch. Tuesday's decision by the Supreme Court means the Trump administration can move forward with a revised policy, barring transgender people unless they serve in their biological sex and do not undergo a transition.
The Pentagon insists that this is not a ban on all transgender people.
To me, it reads more like don't ask, don't tell. Come in, you keep it quiet, you just do your job, you don't tell anyone, and you can serve.
Nearly 24 countries from Canada to Israel and the UK allowed transgender people to openly serve. It was in a July 2017 tweet when President Trump called for a ban in the U.S. military, turning Obama-era policy on its head. While that blanket ban has been ruled unconstitutional, the revised policy issued last year is still being challenged.
The military has always been inclusive. If you can do the job, and what you're just doing is giving people who want to serve and have the ability to serve to do it openly and put their whole effort into it.
Yeah, and Jones says she's also worried too because at this point, Katie, it's unclear if transgender individuals impacted by this policy will be immediately discharged.
Yeah, those people are really in limbo tonight. That was great information for my. I'd love to hear more from her. She's fascinating.
She really was. It was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, great perspective. And a lot of those questions came up tonight on Facebook Live, Josh, and many of you weighed in on this issue. Sarah, you say someone who is voluntarily risking their life as a career now may have to choose between who they are and being themselves 100% and being who they are. A soldier is a soldier. Erica, you disagree. You say if you joined as a man, you can't just turn around later and say, I'm a female now. Hundreds more of you commented on this, and you can join the conversation. It's right on our 10 News WTSP Facebook page.
A peaceful protest outside Kentucky's Covington Catholic High School. As you know, some of the students there are at the center of a massive controversy that started this weekend in Washington, D.C. Nightside's Aubrey Jackson is here, and Aubrey, that video came from a Twitter account that is no longer active.
Yeah, Carolina, I'm following this story very closely. The account was called 2020 Fight, but you can't access it because Twitter suspended it. The account posted the initial video and retweeted it hundreds of times, calling the student a MAGA loser who was gleefully bothering a Native American. Now, I found out that the account had 40,000 followers and claimed to have belonged to a California school teacher, but used the photo of a Brazilian blogger. And tonight, I spoke with cyber warfare expert Molly McHugh with the New Media Frontier, and she says the account's video was promoted by a network of bot accounts. She also said Twitter needs to take more action in stopping those accounts moving forward.
Some federal workers are hoping for a late-night end to the government shutdown. They will miss their second paycheck in a row if the government does not reopen by midnight. The president has signed a bill providing back pay for federal employees, but that will happen once the government reopens.
New York's Liberty International Airport is back open tonight after the FAA briefly stopped flights because of a drone sighting. According to pilots, a pair of drones were spotted about 3,500 feet above nearby Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, roughly 30 feet from the right wing. Drones are restricted to not to fly within 5 miles of airports or above 400 feet. We're also keeping an eye on tonight's other top stories from around the nation.
Pasco firefighters say a welder working on preventative maintenance sparked this $3 million fire at the Dade City Business Center. They say employees tried to put out the fire before calling 911. That fire burned for more than 12 hours.
A Michigan man is in custody tonight after shooting a Saginaw police officer in the jaw during a traffic stop. Officials say they caught Joshua Rosebush after a short chase and shootout. Rosebush was injured and is in the hospital. All of the officers are okay.
There's a new Florida Supreme Court justice. Governor Ron DeSantis appointed Carlos Muñiz to Florida's highest court. Muñiz was chief of staff to former Attorney General Pam Bondi. He also served as a deputy general counsel for former Governor Jeb Bush. This was Governor DeSantis' third pick for the state's Supreme Court.
A ballot initiative to increase Florida's minimum wage to $15 an hour is headed to Florida's Supreme Court. Attorney John Morgan's proposed initiative would increase the state's minimum wage by $1 a year until it reaches $15 an hour. If Florida's Supreme Court approves the initiative, it would be on the 2020 ballot. Florida's minimum wage is currently at $8.46 an hour.
While you're probably complaining about a Florida winter, parts of Niagara Falls froze.
Plus, more than 1 year after his sudden death in Tampa Bay, Roy Halladay is a Hall of Famer. A look back at his career highlights. Nightside's Bo Zimmer is here, and tonight a St. Pete woman is really creating a buzz in the tennis world.
And what a story this is. If you follow tennis, you probably already know her name. If you don't, Danielle Collins may soon be a household name for you too. The former Northeast High School student who's in the semifinals of the Australian Open, believe it or not. She started playing tennis in public parks across Pinellas County, and tonight a former coach says that's what makes her story so incredibly special.
You know, tenacious from day one on the tennis court, couldn't stand to lose, loved playing the game, and would stay out on the court all day long. Yeah, she wasn't shy about who she could play with. You know, she would ask anybody and would play with anybody. A lot of the parks, Purrier Park in St. Pete, you know, so she played anywhere she could find a tennis court. In my mind, you know, she showed all the talent at a very young age, and more importantly, tenacity at a very young age to be a champion.
And our former coach says this is just the beginning for the 25-year-old. He expects big things to come for this young lady. And you can only imagine how proud her parents must be. By the way, they still live right here in St. Pete.
They do. What I love about this is that you can take your child and say, here's a tennis court where she played. You can do this. Obviously, you need talent, but there's hard work involved as well.
Yeah, but the pure tenacity allowed her to excel to this level.
Wow.
No doubt about it.
Cinderella story. Everybody loves those. A winter wonderland, Niagara Falls, was all over social media today. Look at that. There are chunks of ice that are floating in the river there, and the rocks below the falls, they are all covered in white along with the trees. Looks like it's all frosted, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The falls, though, are still flowing. A parks spokesperson tells us the falls froze back in the early 1900s, but with the creation of the Niagara Power Plant, it does not happen anymore. I was wondering why.
It keeps that water just warm enough, and then the water that steams up, it's like it's basically a frost, but it becomes layers of ice on those trees. And that's why it gets so pretty down there.
Beautiful, yeah.
But,
I like to look at it from here.
In Florida, it's fantastic to watch from, right?
Yeah.
So from that to that, 76 degrees for a daytime high. That's why we live here. It's hard not to rub it in, isn't it, guys? It really is. It is impossible. 70s where we should, even 70s where we should be for this time of year, and that's about ready to go up. That's the lowest that our average high temperature for the year is. It's getting ready to go back up to about 71 degrees. Sarasota, we made 79 degrees today. Tomorrow, more of a south to southeast wind, still coming in from off the land. We're probably going to get about 81, 82 degrees. So yeah, we're going to have some 80s across the area. Be a little bit tougher to do for areas closer to the water, but it is going to be an even warmer day tomorrow because of those south winds. Beautiful out there now, 64 degrees at 11:15 at night. That's fantastic. The average low is about 50, but we'll be almost 9 degrees above that for tomorrow morning. In fact, look at this. This is the current temperature. Low 60s for just about everybody. Couple 50s, Crystal River, Dade City, 61 in St. Pete and Bradenton, Anna Maria. We're a little bit warmer than that, about 63 degrees. But Safety Harbor at 61, Odessa at 62. Tomorrow morning when we wake up, we'll have a little bit of a southeasterly wind. The winds have gone calm for the most part. It was breezy today, but they will pick right back up, and eventually that'll pull in a few clouds in the afternoon, so we'll go partly cloudy. I think we stay dry. The showers on the East Coast will stay over on the East Coast. So tomorrow looks fantastic. 50s and 60s in the morning, upper 70s widespread with a couple of low 80s, mainly along and east of I-75. Those inland locations will be a little bit warmer. Now boating, generally about 3 to 4 footers, but the further offshore you go, it's going to be a little bit bigger. We've just got those winds. So south to southeast winds around 15 to 20 knots, small craft advisories, and that's going to make it choppy on the bay. Water temperature came up a little bit today, about 61, but it's coming back down as we cool down Thursday into Friday. So this is 11 o'clock on Wednesday night. So tomorrow night, we're basically dry through the day. But watch what happens. A couple of light showers after midnight ahead of it. This is 4 a.m. and look at this line of showers and storms offshore. I do think there's going to be some gusty winds in these cells. The main threat as this comes through is high winds, 50, 60 mile per hour winds, but cannot rule out an isolated tornado of a waterspout coming in from offshore. It's right during that morning commute, or at least the first half of it. 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, this line of showers and storms moves through. That's about 10:45 in the morning, and it's almost all out of here, and we'll gradually clear out the clouds throughout the day, but that will start to cool us down as well. Gasparilla, yes, we're in that cool air behind the front, but that's not bad. It's dry, lower to mid 60s for highs, with clouds will be increasing, and just a 10% chance for showers as we get into the evening hours. Now watching the cold, see how it keeps dipping across the eastern half of the United States, it's in eastern Canada. Watch what happens by the end of the month. You're going to start to see this lobe of cold air come back out in western Canada. That sign right there, bringing the core of the cold back out west, is going to warm up the East Coast a little bit, and that includes us. But between now and then, you know, we're talking a good 8 to 10 days or so. It's still going to be on the cool side. This is 8 to 14 days. It was saying a little bit below average for us, but certainly well below average for the Great Lakes. I think beyond that, we will start to see things warm up just a little bit. I mean, it's not terrible for us either way you shake it. 79 tomorrow, 70 on Thursday with our showers and storms. Next rain chance is late Sunday, and even the miles are flip-flopping on this. But notice Friday through Tuesday, temperatures in the 60s, below the average of 70.
Aubrey's back, and tonight you had the chance to speak to the founder of the Me Too movement in Tampa.
Yeah, this was a very interesting conversation. You know, we talked about everything from R. Kelly to the recent Chris Brown accusations, and also the fact that popular rapper Cardi B is getting slammed for twerking in a music video. Some say it's setting a bad example for women. Well, in response, Cardi said, "It says to women that I can wear and not wear whatever I want, do whatever I want, and that still means no."
And that's the whole point. We have the right to our own bodily autonomy. That means that whether I'm walking down the street in a bikini and twerking my behind and doing whatever I'm doing, that you don't have the right to touch me. You don't have a right to say anything to me, and you don't have a say-so in what I do with my body. That's really the point of Me Too.
Now, during our conversation, Burke said women should be free to live and do what they wish without being targets. She says the Me Too movement is meant to be inclusive and not divide.
Tonight, 10 News and the Tampa Bay Times won a major national award for a joint investigation called Zombie Campaigns. 10 News investigative reporter Noah Pransky accepted the DuPont Columbia Silver Baton Award. Our joint investigation focused on federal lawmakers who continue to spend campaign funds to support their lifestyles years after leaving office. And you can watch that entire investigation online at zombiecampaigns.com.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
How's this for drama?
Exit Sandman. Enter Cooperstown. Mariano Rivera's final tip of the cap, that was back in September of 2013 at Yankee Stadium against the Rays. You knew at that moment he was destined to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. What we did not know is, well, he'd be the first to unanimously earn a spot in Cooperstown. 100% is what that graphic should say. 425 ballots cast, 425 with a check next to Mo's name. He earned a spot in a way no one else has ever done. A 5-time World Series champ, 652 career saves, 42 of those came in the postseason. Rivera was a lock. How's this for a crazy stat? More people have walked on the moon, 12, than have scored an earned run off Rivera in the playoffs, which is 11. That postseason dominance defined Mo, the last player to wear number 42 in MLB history. He also has some company in Cooperstown.
Halladay is one strike away. The 0-2. A bouncer. Ruiz. In time! Roy Halladay has thrown a no-hitter.
That was the Doc at his best. Talk about playoff performances. Roy Halladay's NLDS no-hitter back in 2010, one of the best you'll ever see. A first ballot Hall of Famer and the first voted in posthumously by the baseball writers in nearly a half century. Halladay passed away after his plane crashed that he was piloting in Newport Richey back in November of 2017. Halladay's family, they will be at the ceremony this summer. Roy's wife, Brandy, releasing a statement. Being inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame is every boy's dream. To stand on that stage in Cooperstown and deliver your acceptance speech in front of baseball's most enthusiastic fans is something that every baseball player aspires to achieve, and Roy was no exception. If only Roy were here to personally express his gratitude for this honor, what an even more amazing day this would be, she said. Roy's son, Braden, posting this message on his Twitter account tonight, a pair of pictures of his late father. Quote, a great honor for a great player and an even greater person. Proud of you, Dad. Love you. This class is truly special. Halladay's a former first-round pick, but he was sent back down to Class A during his career. Rivera was signed for just $3,000. Edgar Martinez, $4,000, and he hit below 200 in his first MLB season. Mike Mussina as well, who you see over here, also enshrined. The ceremony will take place on July 21st in Cooperstown. Well, if Sean McVay and the Rams can knock off Bill Belichick and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, he might be on his way to a Hall of Fame career. He's also starting a new trend. Meet his get-back coach. That's Ted Rath. His duties on game day is to make sure that Coach McVay does not get in the way of the officials. Let me ask you, how do I get that job?
Sign me up for that. I'll take the paycheck for it. Yeah, I need to know. I don't care. I'll do it. Super Bowl 53, guys, right here on 10, less than 2 weeks away. Patriots, Rams, February 3rd. Don't flip that dial, baby, right here on 10.
It's here, guys. Ye Mystic crew of Gasparilla took over the Women's Health Pavilion to check on the little ones and give out beads and presents. It is an annual tradition for the Ye Mystic crew to visit the hospital to celebrate the beginning of Gasparilla. Look at that little pirate. The big parade is on Saturday.
Yeah, start them early.
Are y'all going?
I will not be.
Forget.
I'm trying to.
She's like, I'm
Look
trying.
Look at these pirates with the,
Yeah.
Did you see
That
the
was
little
so
parrots?
cute.
I didn't.
I'm
Yes, I didn't
gonna
ask you.
go.
Are you
It's my first one. I'm gonna go.
Well,
It's gonna
plenty
be
of
fun.
pictures.
I know, right?
I'll
Get
be
ready.
looking on Instagram for you.
Oh my gosh,
It's
gonna be
something.
fun.
It is something to see. You
I feel like I've
got to do
heard
it
the
at least
stories.
once.
Have a good night.